Welcome back, my friends, to the Derate the Hate podcast. I am Wilk from wilksworld.com, and this is going to be episode 41 of our podcast. And before we get started, I got two questions. What have you done today to make your life a better life? And what have you done today to make the world a better place? I haven't done it in a while, so I kind of want to reset things for all the new listeners, because I know we're getting new listeners each week, and we greatly appreciate that. The Derate the Hate podcast is all about bettering the world one attitude at a time. I try to do this. I talk each week about different experiences I've had throughout the course of my life. Each week I try to come up with a different topic, and if you want to participate in that, or if you want to listen to us each week, go ahead and subscribe wherever you get your audio, or just go right to our site, www.derathehate.com. You can follow us on there. And as always, you can see more about Wilk's World at wilksworld.com. Tonight, I want to talk about judgmental, being judgmental, right? We've all heard the phrase, those who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. We've heard, don't judge a person until you've walked a mile in their shoes, which always makes me think of the funny dad joke. Don't judge a person until you walk a mile in their shoes. Besides, they're going to be pretty upset anyway because you're a mile away and you've got their shoes. So anyways, that's a corny dad joke I'm just going to toss in there just for fun. One thing I do want to talk about real quick before we dive too far into tonight's episode is, something that happened to me this morning on my way to work. I was driving to work this morning. I got a tiny little company car, right? I was driving to work this morning. I'm on the highway. I'm going down the highway. I'm passing a car. I'm doing, a few miles an hour over the speed limit. But as I go to pass this car, a big old Chevy pickup flies up right behind me. I mean, just flies up right behind me on my bumper. Hard to say whether you could get a full ream of paper in between me and them, right? Flies up right behind me, and I got this tiny little work car. He starts flashing his bright lights in my back window, right? Totally rude, just absolutely. And so I hit the gas a little bit to get around the car. I'm not looking to get in anybody's way. I don't know what's going on with this person, right? But they're obviously hot. They're ready to move. Their mind is already well past where I'm at, and I just want to get out of their way. So I get out of their way, and then I can see him flying, cutting in and out of everybody else in front of them, or in front of me. And then, sure enough, I get up to the stoplight a mile or two down the road, and I think they're up in front of somebody else in the turning lane, the same turning lane that I was getting into, right? So at this point, this person has accomplished nothing, but they could have run me off the road, flashing their bright lights in my eyes. I get into my office. Now, just a little backstory. Anybody who hasn't heard me talk about it, I've either been a professional driver or I've been a manager of professional drivers for 20-some years, right? So I get into my office. I'm talking to a few people in there, and the one guy's talking about, obviously the same guy. The same guy did the same thing to him. Got up behind him, flashing his lights in the window. So my question for you, and you guys can hit me up on whether it be Facebook, MeWe, Twitter, email me at wilksworld.com. But have you ever dealt with real road rage incidents, right? I've been in the driving industry, in the professional driving industry, like I said, over 20 years, and I've seen all kinds of things. I've seen horrific accidents. I've seen pretty much everything that could be going on in a vehicle. I've seen it going on in a vehicle, and I've seen horrific accidents. I've seen road rage incidents. I've seen all kinds of different things, and that's going to be a topic for another podcast. We are definitely going to talk about the concept of road rage, but it came to my mind today, and I was thinking about it tonight right before I started doing the podcast, and I'd like your feedback. Send me a message. If you got road rage stories, if you've had similar things happen, if you're somebody who has a lot of road rage, has a lot of pent up rage while you're driving, send me a message. Tell me your story. I want to hear it. So again, Wilk at wilksworld.com. That's my email, or send me a message on Facebook, MeWe, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you want to send me a message. I'm very easy to get a hold of. So like I said, same guy got up behind me, got up behind another one of my guys that reports to me. that kind of thing, it obviously causes trouble. And my first thought when this happened, my first thought was I started to get mad. But then I used, I used my logic and my reason and my ability to control myself, and I just kind of got around the car that I was passing and let them get ahead of me. And then, like I said, I saw what they were doing to the people in front of me, and I just, that kind of thing is so toxic. And my first thought, like I said, my first thought was, my first natural reaction was to get upset about the whole deal. But then as I used my own logic and my own reason to get out of the way, and I thought, maybe this guy, maybe he's in a hurry to get to the hospital, maybe he's whatever. But then, like I said, then I see him at the stoplight up in front of us. So it's, if you got a story like that, send it to me. I want to hear it. We'll do a thing in a coming episode about road rage. Send me your stories, wilk@wilksworld.com, or any one of the forms of social media. Send me your messages, send me your stories, and I'd like to hear them. So this podcast, especially for the new listeners, if you haven't figured out, a lot of times it's just me rambling, stream of consciousness, things, like I said, things that I think that you can probably take away, and in hopes that you can make your life a better life. Because if your life is better, if you're a happier person, if you're doing better things, that's going to bring down the rate, the hate in this world. And we're all about derating the hate, turning it down a bit. So tonight, judgmental people. Judgmental people are judgmental may not be a direct sibling to hate, but judgmental and hatefulness are certainly first cousins. They have you ever met a person who every time they see somebody different, or they see somebody that doesn't live up to their standards or the standards that they have set for the people that, I don't know, that they're going to be around or whatever, you can just tell. I mean, they may not say what's on their mind, but you can just look at them. You can feel that there's a tension in the air. There's a feeling of disdain that they have for whatever the person is, whoever they are, and it gives you that sense of uncomfortability, whatever that word is. So like I said, when I think of judgmental people, I don't necessarily think they're hateful, but it's awfully close to hate. And is that the kind of person that you want to be around? Is that the kind of person when somebody, let's just say, for instance, we've talked a lot in this podcast about being able to get along with those with whom we disagree, right? Or being able to agree to disagree, or like in our last episode, the idea of not hating the haters. Being able to look at somebody and say, okay, well, I'm not the same as you. I don't feel the same way that you do about whether it be a group of people or a different political ideology or a different religion or whatever the case may be. But the idea that I am just going to judge you or you're going to judge that group of people or that type of person or this particular person because of whether it be the way that they look, the way that they talk, the way that they I don't know. I mean, the group of people that they're hanging around, we do have to start to realize that people do have individual identities outside of what you may believe they believe. First of all, to automatically assume that just because somebody lives in a certain neighborhood, or to believe that because somebody works in a certain industry or follows a particular I don't know, online entity, political figure, group, whatever the case may be. I mean, there's any number of reasons that we could come up with, but to just assume that because of one thing that one person does, whether it be the clothes that they wear, whatever. Okay, I don't care what it is. To just automatically assume that that person is a certain way, and now you're going to judge them based on your perception of what they or what you think that they are. I mean, I hope the point that I'm getting across here is we can't just judge somebody based on little, obviously judging somebody by like their skin color or the fact that they're a woman or the fact that they're a man. I mean, judging somebody based on their sex. I mean, that's just pure hatred, and that's one thing. Obviously, judging somebody by skin color or their sex, that's hate. But it's the little things, and that's why I say it's not maybe judgmental, or being judgmental and being hateful are not direct siblings, but they're certainly first cousins. Okay, being judgmental is like, okay, so this person's a waitress. How much real ambition could they have, or this person's an auto mechanic, whatever, thing. And I'm not saying anything bad about waitresses or auto mechanics, but that's the point that I'm trying to make, is the idea that people would point out, one thing, one aspect of a person's life, and say and automatically make assumptions about that person is just it's wrong. It's wrong. Everybody knows that it's wrong, but I think a lot of people just put up with that because they're so, I don't know, either wrapped up in themselves or they're judgmental themselves or things like that. But the idea that being judgmental, another thing is going back to the religion thing, people like I myself and my wife and stuff, we're very in our own way very religious, very spiritual people, so close to God, but we're not the type that goes to church every Sunday. But we do know that there are people out there, and I'm sure everybody that's listening to this has in some way encountered that type of person that thinks that if you don't go to church every Sunday, you're maybe somehow not as close to God as they are, or you're not in the good graces of the Lord if your butt isn't in a church pew every Sunday. And I don't believe that way. I wasn't raised that way. I don't believe that way. I don't believe God believes that way. But that's just a small example of judgmental. I don't think those people are hateful, but I do think they're judgmental, and in some way they're looking down their nose at the rest of us that we're just not that way. And that's an example that's just a real quick and real immediate example that I'm sure a lot of people have dealt with, and I do believe that kind of thing gives religion in a lot of ways a bad name. So again, being judgmental, being hateful, they're not the same thing, but in a lot of ways there's a pretty fine line between the two. And I would just caution you, again, if you live, don't throw stones if you live in a glass house. Don't look down your nose on different people just because they may live a different lifestyle than you do, or they do things that you may not agree with, or follow different things that you may not follow, or maybe you just don't like. That doesn't mean they aren't a good person. It just means they're different. So with that, I am going to do what I do every week. I'm going to jump into a feel-good story, something that caught my eye and really stood out to me. This story comes from Raleigh, North Carolina, about a youngster by the name of Curtis Rogers. Now, Curtis Rogers is a little 7-year-old smooth operator. This kid is awesome. So his nanny, Rachel, didn't get to go to her prom, so young Mr. Curtis decided he was going to give his nanny a prom of her own, and he spared no details. He got a matching bow tie to match her dress. He got all decked out in a suit. This kid is, looking sharp. Very cool, very cool little youngster. And he set up dinner, socially distanced dinner, for him with all their favorite after-school snacks. And I got to tell you, super cute story, super neat, big heart. On this youngster, Curtis Rogers, out of Raleigh, North Carolina. If you want to see more about that story or see some pictures, like I said, this kid is a smooth operator, sharp looking kid, and threw a great little prom for his nanny Rachel. And great little story, very cute short story, quick read. You can get the notes in our show notes, or get the link to that story in our show notes at www.deratethehate.com. So that is going to wrap up our show for this week. So just remember, there's a lot of stuff going on out there, a lot of people going through some rough times. Take an example, or take, for example, young Mr. Curtis Rogers out of Raleigh, North Carolina, doing great things because he knows that there's so many people like his nanny Rachel that have lost so much of this past year that they've been on lockdown. Everybody's going through something. Don't judge people. They're doing their own thing, and everybody's fighting different battles out there, and there's a lot going on. So when you get a chance to be out around the people, be kind to one another, be grateful for everything that you've got, and remember, it's up to you to make each and every day the day that you want it to be. So from all of us here at Wilkes World, I do want to express a very heartfelt thank you. Again, if you have not yet done so, subscribe to us wherever you get your audio. Follow our sites, wilkesworld.com, deratethehate.com. Check us out on social media, whether it be Facebook, MeWe, Twitter, and just follow us. Check us out. Leave us a review. Share us with your friends. All that is so greatly appreciated. So with that, I am going to back on out of here, and we will